Hello everyone, welcome to our show for this Tuesday Tips, Tuesday Transformation session. And I'm really excited to be speaking with all of you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I know that you've been joining us for these segments called Follow the Reader, where I'm talking about books that I really believe that can transform all of our lives. Remember, we're building a global conscious community of change makers. You're all changing your lives and the lives of other people. And if you want to learn about personal transformation, you want to learn about building a community of change, motivate each other, you're in the right place. Now, very shortly, I'll be revealing my guest for today, who I know so many of you have been excited for. If you don't know, you're in for a real treat. And I really want you to think about, if you could change something, transform something from the inside out about your health, your physical, emotional, spiritual health, what would it be? Write it in the comment section for us so that we can comment on them later. But write in the section, if you could change anything, transform anything about your physical, emotional, or spiritual health, what would it be? Leave it in our comment section. Now, I'm really excited today because in the studio we have an extremely special guest. He's a New York Times best-selling author, a leading pioneer in integrative medicine, and on top of all of that, he's got this amazing, and I know some of you have already tried it out, 21-day meditation with Oprah. Maybe some of you are doing it or in the middle of it right now as well. I'd like to welcome to the show and the studio, Deepak Chopra.
Hi, thank you.
Deepak,
thank you
it's
for having
absolutely
me.
Fantastic to have you here.
Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. Thank you for coming. I know there was a lot of excitement. And today we're, of course, talking about your new book, which is called Radical Beauty. So if you haven't ordered this already, we have put the link into the comment section. If you're excited about transforming your life from the inside out, then definitely order this book. It's in the comment section right now. You can get it from Amazon. So this brilliant, sorry, go ahead, Deepak.
But it's written with Kimberly Snyder,
of course,
who's my co-author.
Of course, unfortunately, we couldn't have Kimberly in the studio as well.
She's in California.
We'll have to get her as well. But Kimberly Snyder as well, as you can see both of them on the cover of the book, written as co-authors. And this book, you talk very much about the 6 pillars of healthy life, Deepak. Can you dive into those for us?
Well, for the last several years, I've talked about 5 pillars of well-being, and they are sleep. We can talk about each of these separately if you want. Meditation and stress management, healthy emotions, movement, exercise, yoga, breathing techniques all in one, and nourishment. And recently I've become aware, through Kimberly actually, of what she calls primal beauty, which is the whole phenomenon of what happens when you're in direct contact with the earth. Your feet are direct contact with the earth, and what happens is negative ions come from the earth into your body and neutralize the free radicals which have built up as a result of stress. But I've also been interested all my life in something called chronobiology, how our biological rhythms are part of the rhythms of nature. You know, we have circadian rhythms as the earth spins on its axis. Jet lag is a disturbance of that. But we have seasonal rhythms as the earth goes around the sun. Some people fall in love in spring for that reason. Others get depressed in winter for that reason.
Yes.
We also have lunar rhythms, the cycles of the moon, which apparently are more effective or more prominent in women. The human menstrual cycle is linked to the cycles of the moon. It's a 28-day cycle. And then finally we have gravitational rhythms, which are the result of the earth, sun, and moon on the tides. But there's an ocean inside you, which is the same as the ocean outside. In fact, once upon a time we lived in the ocean, and we came to earth, we brought it with us. So the 6 pillars include all of what I've said, and then Kimberly has expanded on external nourishment, not just what you put inside your gut, but what you put on your skin, because your skin and your gut and your brain come from the same germ layer. And if you nourish the skin with healthy nutrients, that also expresses itself as beauty.
Absolutely brilliant. And you touched on it there. You're talking about this rhythm that we are all in line with or not in line with at the moment. You have jet lag, stressful jobs, odd work hours, which I'm sure much of the audience can relate with. They're feeling it every single day. How do you become in tune with your own body's natural rhythms when actually we feel so out of pattern or out of sync?
So ever since ancient times, people have spoken of the music of the spheres. The universe, one song. So the universe is a symphony, and we are part of the symphony, and our body dances to that music even though we cannot consciously name the tune. But we are an activity of the universe. And when we get distracted, or when we perceive stress, which is the perception of some kind of threat, fear, even other things like hostility, guilt, shame, mistrust, when, in other words, we are not flowing in the moment, then we disturb those rhythms. And yes, people talk about stress in the environment, but stress is how you interact with the environment. It's like waves on the ocean. If you're a skillful surfer, then every wave is exhilaration.
Yes.
And if you're not prepared, then every wave is a disaster. So the same thing with life. You have to prepare yourself for life by getting in touch with your innermost being. So, Tagore, the great Indian poet,
yes,
I'm sure you know he said, when I feel beauty, I know it as truth. So beauty is an internal feeling. And everything we do in our lives is striving for that feeling of goodness, truth, beauty, harmony, love, compassion, joy, equanimity. We do everything to feel happy.
Yes.
And so why not go for it directly?
Yes. Amazing.
Beauty is a projection of that.
Deepak, we spoke about this just briefly. You spoke about the pillars. And one of the parts that you talk a lot about in this book is avoiding excess stress, which makes it sound like a certain amount of stress is there, but you're talking about avoiding excess stress. Can you explain to us how we can better manage stress through the tips you share?
Well, of course, meditation is one of the most effective ways to manage stress, because meditation takes you beyond your thought process to the source of thought, which in Eastern wisdom traditions is called pure consciousness. But I would say just being aware of the moment in which every experience is happening is to experience what psychologists call flow. When there's no resistance, no anticipation, no regrets, just awareness in this moment, there's no stress. I've asked anybody, is there stress in this moment? No. And the experience we're having in this moment, it's ephemeral. Even as we have the experience, is gone, right?
Yes.
The experience we had when we started the program is over. So the experience is coming and going, but the moment is timeless. And in that moment, if you separate the experience from who is having the experience, we can ask everyone right now, as you're listening to us, watching us, just turn your attention to who's doing the listening. And what you experience is awareness, and it's free of stress. Of course, there are other things people can do for stress: massage, imagination, visualization, exercise, pranayama, breathing techniques, yoga, going to a nice funny movie, watching this program.
Yes.
There's so many things you can do for stress.
So Deepak, the big question coming out here from a few people is, how do you define radical beauty?
I define radical beauty as extraordinary shift in your understanding of who you are. Once you realize who you are, you will not even have to think about radical beauty. The great Sufi poet Rumi said, by God, when you see your beauty, you'll be the idol of yourself. So your inner being is radically beautiful, and then it projects outside as what we call our body, as our facial expressions, as our eye movements, as the tone of our voice, as our body language, as our gestures, as the smile on your face. That's beauty, and it's an expression of the primal beauty of nature.
And what's stopping us from excavating that inner being? Is anything stopping us?
It's called the hypnosis of social conditioning, the need to be validated by others. So when you have radical beauty and you're in touch with your inner being, you don't need validation at all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely brilliant. So I'm sure all of us want to tap into our radical beauty. There's some great advice and tips there, looking beyond the hypnosis of social conditioning. So we have a great question from Tasneen. She says, how to stop negative thoughts?
First of all, recognize that your thoughts don't belong to you. The thoughts themselves are recycled social conditioning. every thought we're having right now, it's part of the zeitgeist, right? This is recycling now in cyberspace and social media. So don't take ownership of your thoughts unless you really have a creative thought like E is equal to MC squared or the general theory of relativity, or you write a new song or you write a new poem. That's original thought. The rest of it, it's just coming through you, and it's part of the ecosystem. It's what in Eastern traditions we would call the Akashic field. So just say next.
Yes. So are you saying that we hold on to things too quickly?
Yeah, we hold on to them and we identify them when they don't even belong to us.
Wow. So yeah, it's like walking through the streets and seeing all this rubbish on the ground or whatever and thinking that it belongs to you.
To you. So, our consciousness is non-local, which means not even in space-time. It's not subject to birth and death. Birth and death happen only through experiences, which happens in the flash, in the blink of an eye. So that's happening all the time. You can witness those thoughts and allow them to arise and subside, because actually, even if you try to hold on to them, it's impossible. Okay, it's all a psychosis to try to hold. It's a neurosis.
Yeah.
Just watch it arise and subside.
Completely. FitBanker says, what 3 new habits from your book would you recommend we begin to implement to transform our overall health?
If you want only 3, get a good night's sleep. And we can talk, by the way, about sleep.
About it.
Okay?
Yes, let's dive into that.
So sleep is actually a spiritual experience. When you go to sleep at night, you first have dreams, and they're part of every hour of sleep. And dreams are an experience of your subtle body, which again Eastern wisdom traditions call the mind, intellect, and the ego, which is an assumed identity. And then as you go deeper into sleep, the excitations of consciousness cease, and you're finally in touch with what your soul body or your causal body is, which is not in time, but it's you. And the excitations of that are what we call waking consciousness. So when you have a good night's sleep, you say, I slept like a baby.
Yes.
And that is because you are like a baby. You've returned from the source. So sleep actually not only rejuvenates you, it removes toxins, it gets rid of stress. It is also when you consolidate memories, and it's also when you enhance creativity. There's a lot of unconscious processing that happens in consciousness. Unconscious means you're not aware of it, but it's happening in consciousness when you go to sleep. So I would say make sleep and the most fundamental way to rejuvenate yourself.
What are we doing wrong with sleep, Deepak?
We're taking sleeping aids.
Okay.
And we're watching TV in our bedroom. We're stimulating ourselves. We're on the internet, etc. So what we're doing wrong is we are not living life mindfully. If you live life mindfully during the day, you'll have a baby sleep at night. So the second thing, therefore, is to live life mindfully.
Yes.
Okay? And the third, which means be in the moment, which we talked about earlier.
Yes.
And the third thing is don't put anything in your body that is manufactured, refined, processed, which is fake. A lot of food that people eat today is not food. It's fake food. It's manufactured food. It's full of poisons like antibiotics, hormones, steroids, which are fed to animals.
Yeah,
and then there's also, of course, a lot of petroleum products, both in our food and also in many cosmetics, by the way. That's another thing about radical beauty is if you want to nourish your skin, nourish it with natural products.
Absolutely. And one of the things I loved about this book is that a lot of that you may hear that and go, oh my God, that sounds quite difficult. One of the great things about this book is that it's really like a text and guidebook. It really gives you lots of examples.
And you
of
can
recipes.
do whatever you want.
You can do little pieces.
Yeah, little pieces. Yeah. You don't have to do the whole thing unless you're like me.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's so many recommendations in the book that you can just pick out, follow. It makes it really simple, really, really easy. Another question here we have from Kevin. What is the biggest lesson in your life that continues to define who you are today?
My mother said, don't take yourself seriously.
Nice.
And if you don't take yourself seriously, you will never be offended. And if you're not offended, you will take life as it comes.
Beautiful. What a wonderful lesson. Thank you for asking that question, Kevin, as well. Now, which one should we dive into next, Deepak? I'll let you pick, because which one would you like to dive into?
You know, I think we should go right to the heart of what is spiritual beauty.
Let's do that.
Because that's one of the pillars in our book.
Yes.
And what is the deeper understanding of spiritual beauty? Because we started off by saying that at the ground of your existence, there's already beauty. And that is the source of all experience. So right now we are having an experience, right? This is a perceptual experience. And then there are cognitive experience. There are 4 levels of existence, starting from the ground up. So the first is being. We are human beings, not human doings. And being is fundamental reality. In Eastern wisdom traditions, it's called Satchitananda. It's the truth, it's an experience of bliss, and it is awareness. So being aware is the highest intelligence. Krishnamurti, the great Indian philosopher, he said the highest intelligence is to observe yourself without judging yourself. Yeah. That's the highest. The second highest is the feeling or emotion that we call love, which is related to compassion, empathy, and joy, because we are not isolated humans. We are part of the web of existence. And the more we connect to life, the more we feel that joy. It's a feeling. The third is thinking, but not dogmatic, ideological thinking, but reflection. Who am I? What do I want? What is my life purpose? What am I grateful for? If you ask these questions, you don't have to know the answers. You will move into the answers. Life will move you into the answers. The fourth level is speaking. Speak only if it's necessary. Speak if it's helpful. Speak if it's kind. And don't speak like Donald Trump. Okay?
We'll get
and the last is what we call doing, or karma yoga. Pursue excellence, ignore success, do what needs to be done, and leave the results to the unknown. Now, when we practice these principles of being, feeling, reflecting, speaking, and doing, what really happens is we move into what, again, wisdom traditions have called higher states of consciousness: soul consciousness, divine consciousness, cosmic consciousness, and ultimately the experience that is called unity consciousness, or Brahman consciousness, or so-called enlightenment. Yeah. So it's a journey, but don't do the journey because you have to get somewhere immediately. Do it because it's the journey you want to take.
Definitely. That's fantastic advice. I hope you were taking notes there as well. And one of the things I'm thinking about, Deepak, you made that wonderful point at the end as well, that often people start on this journey, but we get frustrated because we feel, oh, I haven't achieved something yet, or I haven't got something yet. And that almost demotivates us and disappoints us. How have you seen in your own journey and in guiding so many people across the world, how have you seen that people overcome that expectation or that desire to have
just be present to the experience you're happening. Just be present to the experience you're having right now. Because if you're not present for it right now, you won't have it when you get to it either. You know, people are constantly imagining a future when they're not present to what's happening now. When the future finally arrives, they won't be present for it. So what's the point?
Unbelievable. It's so true. It's so true, that habit. So even when you feel like you have nothing, just the habit of being present and aware means when you have something, you'll be able to be present and aware.
Rumi's poem, the cure of pain is in the pain. Feel it and move through it.
Absolutely brilliant. Ava, big question. How do you find your life's purpose, Deepak?
So sit down quietly and maybe watch your breath to quieten your mind, and then ask yourself, if I had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, what would I do with my unique talents and strengths, and who would I serve? And as you ask the question, just be mindful of any sensations, images, feelings, or thoughts that spontaneously come to you. right there is an insight.
Brilliant. Another question that's coming out here is, Deepak, you're so full of love, gentleness and kindness. How do you nurture these qualities? I guess that's a part of your radical beauty, isn't it?
It's part of radical beauty. It's also part of being grateful. And you just have to be grateful for every breath, for existence. And if you're not actually astonished or bewildered by the fact that you exist, and if life is not a perpetual surprise, then you're not living life.
Yeah.
Radical beauty is an outcome of that gratitude that you feel for this.
Phenomenal. And so one of the questions we get asked a lot, and I see a lot of people talking about this, you've probably answered it a million times, but when we look at it in the perspective of radical beauty, today we're fixated on our appearance, right? You were saying with the hypnosis of social conditioning, appearance is everywhere. We see a lot of campaigns against models on magazines. We see a lot of campaigns against how people are perceived in the media. What is real confidence for people from a radical beauty perspective?
Yeah, but before that, see, all the interventions to make people look beautiful is like my teacher, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, used to say, it's like polishing the petals of a rose instead of watering the root.
Yes.
So, what we're doing is polishing the petals of the rose instead of watering the root. So the first thing you have to realize is that your innermost being is not your fragmented ego identity, which is based on social conditioning and the opinions of others. The innermost being is already independent of criticism and flattery. It is not fearful. It is spontaneously creative. It's also full of wonder and curiosity. Look at a child. Before we tell the child, okay, this is your name, this is your nationality, this is your religion, and this is your race, and now you're kind of screwed for the rest of your life, right? Because we've imposed an identity on this wonderful gift of the universe, which has the intelligence of the universe. Your inner intelligence is the ultimate and supreme genius. It mirrors the wisdom of the universe, and we sacrifice the self for a selfie, basically.
Yes.
We are not our selfies, even though we love to take them.
Yeah.
So radical beauty is go back to the self, and the selfie will automatically look better.
Amazing. So that's a good place to start, just reminding ourselves that we are not our selfies and reconnecting with our real self. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you for taking us back that way. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Go on. And also that, so then that's where the real confidence comes in. You're saying that actually when we go back to ourself, even our selfies look better. That's where confidence stems from.
The selfie is a reflection of the self, of course. But here's the thing. If you have children, then you can make them radically beautiful for the rest of their life if in the beginning, in the first 3 years of life, you give them what I call the 4 A's. Attention, which means you listen to them. Affection, you let them know you deeply care about them. Appreciation, you notice all their good qualities and tell them that you're noticing them. And acceptance, don't try to change them. We always try to change our children according to how we think they should be when they're already unique gifts of the universe.
Absolutely. We had Dr. Shafali here last week speaking about that in depth. Good. So it's very great to hear you both agree on so many wonderful principles.
Send a virtual applause to my colleague, Kimberly Snyder, who really helped me put this book together.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll try and get Kimberly.
In fact, she contributed a lot to this book.
Amazing. Do you want to share something actually about Kimberly?
Kimberly is a certified nutritionist, and she's written 2 previous books, New York Times bestsellers on beauty. She's a beauty expert in Hollywood, and I learned a lot about nutrition from her and of the other things too, including this whole segments on primal beauty and external nourishment and internal nourishment. So this was a partnership for me, and I want to acknowledge her.
Absolutely amazing. Beautiful to see your gratitude coming out to Kimberly. And a big thank you from me to Kimberly as well, because this book is definitely giving us all of that. There's a lot of love flying through for you,
thank you.
Deepak. So keep that coming, guys, and keep it coming for Kimberly as well. And actually, let's dive into that primal beauty. How is that primal beauty, and you're saying that you've learned a lot from Kimberly sharing that, how has that helped us connect with radical beauty as well, being more in touch with nature?
Being more in touch with nature, because everyone, when they're in nature, they feel a sense of joy and exhilaration and energy. As I mentioned, walking in the earth or on the beach. These days, by the way, some people have come up with clever ideas, which is they've created mats and bed sheets and pillowcases, which take a wire and ground it to the earth, no matter where you are. And so in our center, we have massage therapists, and they're very busy all the time and all day long on their feet. Naturally, they get tired. But now we're doing a study where we have them do their work barefoot on mats, which are grounded to the earth. In every room there's an outlet, right?
Yes.
Which is a grounding outlet. So you can do that, and you should look into this. Go on the internet and find out. Type out grounding or earthing, and you'll get a lot of information.
Absolutely brilliant. So we're going to dive into our quick fire round with Deepak now. So I hope you're watching. So Deepak, these are just fun questions we like to do with every guest. The audience really enjoys it as well. And I've been looking at a lot of your tweets, reading a lot of your articles that you write for the Huffington Post as well. So some of them are based on that. Now I wanted you to answer some of these questions. So I want you to react in one word to the following, if you can.
One word.
If you like more words, you're allowed. You're brilliant with words,
one.
so you're allowed. People that say I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Wake up.
Wake up. Nice. Wonderful. People that say yoga and meditation are not for me.
Maybe they're not.
Nice. Like the honesty. If you, people that say life is short, eat what you want.
Eat what gives you energy.
Beautiful. If you woke up as the following people, what would you do? The first one is Donald Trump.
I might contemplate suicide.
Brilliant. Now, I want to dive into this one. I read your article you wrote about the shadow,
yes,
specifically about Donald Trump. I also saw your tweets. What advice would you give to Donald Trump and share with our viewers as well if they haven't seen that article?
Well, if you've just seen Donald Trump in any scenario, I think there's no question that he's rude, he's sexist, he's a misogynist, he's abusive, he's belligerent. He uses verbal formulas, he stereotypes, he's racist, he's bigoted, and there's a lot of hatred. So that is obvious. What is troubling to me right now is that according to some polls, 43% of people actually approve of him. So this bespeaks to our what is called collective shadow. Mm-hmm. You have a shadow, I have a shadow. The shadow is dark, it's mysterious, it's hiding. It's that part of you that says, if you ignore me, I'm going to embarrass you. So those of us who are not aware of our shadow, what happens is we do become aware of it in troubling situations, when there is the fear of terrorism, for example, or the fear of physical threat to our safety, or when there is financial crisis, or when you've lost a job, or when whatever is happening in your life. Also, when you have me and other ideas where you see everyone as threatening to you, then that part of your being, which is the shadow, gets unleashed, and it wreaks havoc in your personal life. From time to time we see shadows being exposed, particularly in politicians and other luminaries, so-called. And so right now what we're seeing is the unleashing of our collective shadow, which is already present. So actually, even though I said all those things about Trump a little while ago, there are time to reflect on ourselves and say, in a stressful situation, could I be like that? Am I being like that right now because I'm in a state of fear? Am I being like that because I'm in a state of hostility or guilt or shame? So in one way, we should thank Mr. Trump for actually bringing us self-awareness. It is this lack of self-awareness that ultimately results in tyrannical regimes, in despots, in demagogues. The leader is always an expression of the collective consciousness. So we can't blame the leader. We will get in this election just what we deserve. And we will not have anyone to blame except, or credit, except ourselves.
Wow, amazing. Reflecting on your inner Trump. Very reflective answer. Thank you so much, Deepak. What would be your best advice to a new graduate?
To a new graduate, now find your purpose and passion in life and then go for it. Totally go for it, because when you follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell said, you can't go wrong.
Absolutely brilliant. And your best advice for someone who lacks confidence and doesn't feel they're beautiful?
You might even do something which I call the mirror technique. And you might look into a mirror and look into your own eyes and repeat to yourself, I'm beneath no one, I'm fearless, and I'm independent and immune to criticism. And keep saying that mentally till you see a gleam in your eyes. That gleam is the validation that your soul already knows that.
Beautiful, brilliant. And what's your best advice for Hillary Clinton at the moment then?
I would say focus on the issues and really ask yourself, how can I best serve?
Absolutely wonderful. That's fantastic. And we want you to finish off these sentences with one word.
Let's do it.
So when I get up in the morning, or you can finish the sentence.
I intend a joyful, energetic body, a loving, compassionate heart, a clear, reflective mind, and lightness of being.
Very nice. And in there you said you intend. Yeah. Can you expand on that for our audience?
Intention is the source of all experience.
Absolutely.
And intention has infinite organizing power, which means it orchestrates everything that is needed to fulfill itself.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much. I hope you're learning these subtle things that Deepak is living for all of us. Second one, I am most angry when... Finish the sentence.
Never really angry.
Wonderful. I believe that, being with you right now. I am motivated by...
Life.
On a Friday night, you can find me...
Looking forward to rejuvenation over the weekend.
The best thing about life is...
It's a sexually transmitted incurable condition, and it's joyful.
That's fantastic. Best answer I've ever heard. My favorite bit about this book was, like, producing the book, actually the process.
My favorite bit was the process and what I learned from my co-author, Kimberly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You were absolutely brilliant. I wanted to ask you this, Deepak. You were speaking about detaching ourselves from both praise and criticism. How do you deal with criticism? Like, how do you recommend people deal with it?
Ignore your critics. They won't be able to stand it. Because when you give them attention by being defensive or by counter-arguing, they get a lot of mileage out of you. Why do you want to give them mileage?
Yeah.
In fact, they're riding on your coattails.
Amazing.
So, people can't stand to be ignored. There was a study that was published through Gallup. When a manager or a supervisor ignores the person who's working for them or with them, their rate of disengagement goes up by 45% and they get stressed. When they don't ignore them but they criticize them, the rate of disengagement falls to 20% because you would rather be criticized than ignored. Now you're getting some attention. Yeah. You exist. But when you notice somebody's strength, one strength, and you acknowledge it, the rate of disengagement goes down to less than 1%.
Wow.
So this is very practical advice. If you have a critic, ignore them.
Absolutely.
Okay, and don't respond by criticism because you'll be giving them attention.
Absolutely, great advice. And we've got a great question from Annie here. What happens to the present-day adults who did not get the 4 A's that you spoke about as a child? How can they be transformed?
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
So it's something called cognitive therapy, where you question your limiting beliefs. Also, when you practice meditation and mindfulness, then you slowly kind of disable those limiting beliefs.
Absolutely. Deepak, let me know if you'd like to lead us in a meditation right now. We can do it live with everyone.
Shall we? So this is very generic,
yes,
but that's what you can do on television. So either close your eyes, or you don't have to close your eyes. Just sit comfortably and have what is called soft eyes. Soft eyes means don't focus on any object, just be aware of the space you're in. Okay? And now just observe your breath. And even as you observe your breath, you'll see it slows down. As your mind wanders, come back to observing your breath. And now bring your awareness into the area of your heart. And mentally ask the question, who am I? Allowing any sensation, image, feeling or thought to come to you. A few times. Who am I? And now the question, what do I want? Allowing any sensation, image, feeling or thought to spontaneously come to you. One more question. What am I grateful for? Allowing any sensation, image, feeling or thought to come to you. And final question. What is my purpose? How can I serve? Allowing any sensation, image, feeling or thought to come to you. Okay, now please close your eyes this time and feel your body from the inside out. And perhaps you can introduce this intention. Radical beauty. Radical beauty. Radical beauty. Relax into your body. And now you can open your eyes. A short, generic.
Absolutely beautiful, wonderful. Thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed that. Definitely try it out again. It's wonderful questions that we were asked to answer. I'm sure you all took part and enjoyed that as well. So guys, I've got a few more moments left for Deepak. If you've got any more questions, send them through. I want to take as many as possible. If you have just joined us or you joined us late, we're talking to the co-author, Deepak Chopra, of Radical Beauty, the book written with Kimberly Schneider. She couldn't be with us today, unfortunately, but she has been a massive contributor to this book. If she is watching or will watch it afterwards, hey, from all of us, lots of gratitude and love coming your way for putting together this great book. You can order it. It's in the comment section right now. Click on the link and order it if you've liked our conversation today. So Deepak, we're going to go through some more questions. Errol says, how do you stay so grounded?
I stay grounded by just being aware. You know, if you want to try this also, you can do it once in a while. Just stop and ask yourself, am I aware? That's it. And don't be judgmental about what is that which you're aware of. Just be aware of being aware.
Yeah.
That's all.
Unbelievable. What are you learning new every day? What is it that you're always growing from and evolving?
What I'm beginning to learn right now is that the entire universe that we experience is a human construct in our consciousness. And now this is a difficult concept for people to grasp, but I'm doing a book now with a physicist called You Are the Universe, which is in every moment of our existence, we are creating that which we perceive, that which we experience, that which we sense, that which we image, that which we think about, that which we are knowing as experience. There's no such thing as a world out there. It's a projection of our consciousness. I'm exploring that both experientially, but I'm also working with mathematicians and physicists to see how we construct what we call everyday reality.
Unbelievable. We look forward to reading that. That's definitely very much up my street.
In February I'll be here with
that. Fantastic. Yeah, no, I find that very interesting, especially when you bring that mesh of your personal experience with the maths and the physics as well, to really explore that concept. To see some of you are excited as well. And we have one more question coming here from Wendy. She says, what do you do when you can't visualize the direction of where your life is heading?
Feel your way through life. Don't analyze your way through life. Feel your way. And there are two messages you're getting all the time, comfort or discomfort. pleasure or pain, joy or suffering. So feel your way into what gives you bliss.
Absolutely brilliant, guys. Thank you so much for your amazing questions. Keep them coming. Again, if you haven't already seen the book Radical Beauty with Kimberly Schneider as the co-author that they wrote together, a wonderful book about transforming life from the inside out. As I said before, it's got tons of great practical tips and insights, and biggest insight as well into what radical beauty is all about on a much deeper and spiritual level as well. Deepak, is there anything that you feel you want to share with the audience that you didn't get to say, or you feel is just there in your heart and you want to share with everyone?
Take it easy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for letting me serve you today. I hope that you'll join us again tomorrow. I look forward to serving you then. Press the share button, press the like and love button, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day wherever you are.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Deepak, again for being here.
Very
grateful.
much.
Thank you so much.